Happy holidays, friends. It is Mindy and welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be building a Christmas town, and as always, I am super excited to share this one with you. I pretty much had a vision. I wanted this town to look like it belonged in a snow globe. So as if you kind of jumped inside the snow globe, that's what I wanted this town to look like. I envisioned the white church, which I think a lot of people do because I've seen a lot of people kind of make buildings like white churches in their Christmas builds, which I think is really cool. So yeah, funny story. I began this build on a 64 by 64 lot, and I had this vision in mind that there was this little hill and then this church that sat atop of the hill, and below that there was a small pond that maybe I imagine people go ice skating in when it freezes over. I wanted a few houses and a few stores kind of off a little bit in a village. And I got probably about 2 hours into that build, maybe not even that long, honestly, maybe about an hour to an hour and a half into the build. And all of a sudden, I just sat back and kind of chuckled and said, Mindy, you're trying to build this on a 64 by 64 lot. Like, what was I thinking? Oh my goodness, it takes so long to build on a 64 by 64 lot, and had I planned a little bit more time, I probably could have done it. I could have put the effort into it, but I wanted to do something a little bit smaller. I wanted to be able to get it out to you guys in time and still be able to work on other things. I love my Christmas builds. I love doing them. I love sharing them, but if I was going to spend that amount of time on a Christmas build, I would have way planned for it ahead of time. So yeah, that was kind of the story of how we came to this. This is a 50 by 50 lot, I believe. It is the park in Willow Creek. So if you guys know what lot that is, you can kind of see it with all of the trees and everything behind. And I felt like this was an appropriate lot to put it on because it does kind of have that feel of like just being kind of like out in the country type thing, I guess. So yeah, that's kind of what I was going for. This lot has 2 full houses, 1 apartment, a bank, a toy store, a empty apartment, a cafe, a bookstore or a library, and a deli that's kind of like basically in the church, of course, but the deli's kind of like, I imagine, like a Subway where you would just go and like pick your toppings and everything like that, and then there's a little sitting area, nothing super extravagant. I have to say I put a lot of details more on the outside of this build rather than the inside. The insides are done, and they're done nicely, I believe. It's just I used most of my small details for the outside because I don't imagine this being a lot that you would play on like every day, or even that you would play on very often. I imagine it being kind of one of those things that you place and maybe you visit from time to time, but at Christmas time it would be great for sim stories if you're into that. So yeah, I just don't imagine you playing on it very often. I do have this set as general, like the lot type is under general or generic. That's what it is, generic. And so there's no requirements for this lot. You can place it down. However, I have to say it did not bring in a ton of other sims. So if you want to change the lot type, you certainly can. And a few ideas for you. There's an empty apartment above the toy store. So if you want to set it as a park, of course you have to have certain requirements. So you can put the requirements, which I think is like monkey bars. So you can put those up there. So they're kind of like hidden out of the way and nobody really has access to them. Monkey bars, and then you could add like a chess table on one of the front porches of the houses. So there's ways to like change it around if you want to make it a park or if you want to make it a retail spot, whatever you want to do. Everything does work aside from the stores. You can't buy things from the stores. because it's not set as a retail. But like I said, you can choose to do that as well. But you can hire a vendor for the deli, and then you can hire a barista for the cafe. So totally up to you. This is not something, like I said, that I would really want to play on like an everyday basis, especially if I was playing for the long term. Maybe if I was just playing like a short story here or there and I just needed some kind of town in my story, I would go for this. But yeah, the houses are fully functioning. They're fully put together. As you can see, there's very little yard to it, and it's very small. So you don't really have very much space. So you certainly can live on here. I just don't imagine it would be the most comfortable spot to live. So yeah, moving on through all of that rambling, I hope you guys are having a really great day. I've had such a good week, and I feel like I think I said this in my last video that my YouTube is thriving, and it feels so good right now, and it's all because of you guys, and I so appreciate it. So I hope you guys are all enjoying your holidays. I know we're not quite to Christmas yet, but usually this time of year it seems like we're visiting with our family more often. So let me know what you guys do in the comments down below. If you visit your family, if you go somewhere, let me know of all of your holiday traditions. I'd love to hear about them. And yeah, so I think I also said in my snow globe build that we go visit my in-laws and my grandma and my mom. So it's always just really nice and cozy, and I love just getting together with the families, and I don't know, it's just so peaceful. I love this time of year, so I'm really excited. The only thing that I'm a little bit bummed about is we won't be having snow on Christmas. And as a child, I loved playing in the snow. Absolutely loved it. My dad would build us igloos in the backyard. I mean, he would be out there for hours, and he'd come in for a little bit and take a quick break, and then he'd go back out and he'd build this like full igloo, which was like a really big deal for us as kids, and we loved it. And so unfortunately my dad passed away about 5 years ago, and so we no longer get igloos. And I have to say, as an adult with children, I hate the snow and I hate the cold. I'm definitely somebody that I can see me and my husband like moving somewhere eventually to a more warmer climate. I don't know. I just don't like it so much now that I'm older and have to get kids out the door and scraping off the car. You don't think about those things when you're a kid. When you're a kid, you just see this like white fluffy stuff on the ground, and I know that's what my kids see, and that's what the kids that I babysit for see. They just absolutely love it, and I try not to be a Grinch about it, but I hate the cold and I hate the snow. So we actually had snow yesterday and snow today, but on Christmas it's going to be in the 40s. I live in Ohio, so Ohio weather changes. Like, you know, it can be like 50s one day or 70s one day, and the next day, you know, it's snowing. It's just how Ohio works, I guess. So yeah, I don't know. But anyways, those are some of my traditions. I'm sorry I rambled so much about that, but yeah, you kind of see the build coming together here. I've got the house, the Victorian house, completely finished. And then here I just go through the debug menu, and I wanted to pull out as much like traffic lights and just different signs to make this really look and feel like a genuine town, or a genuine like town center, I guess. I'm really sorry, guys. My throat gets so dry, especially when I'm like talking all day. You guys know the whole story. I've had a sore throat. I've had the sinus infection for like ever. It won't go away. So I apologize if I have to take just little breaks here and there when I am yakking my jaws off. So yeah, I wanted to use the debug menu and pull out as much like traffic lights and just different traffic signs and stuff like that. Like I said, I wanted it to feel genuine. And then moving on over here, this is our bank. I love this bank. I love how it came together. I actually got this really neat idea to use these gel cell doors for like a barricade between the bank teller and the people coming in. And that's not an original idea. I saw somebody do it, and I cannot for the life of me remember who it was. So all credit goes to whoever that person is that's out there. If you see this video, thank you for the idea. This is an awesome idea. I just thought it made I thought it made the bank look a little bit more realistic. I've never seen a bank like this. But like I know in larger cities, I've seen them portrayed like that in larger cities, like in the movies. So I honestly, I don't know if there are oh my gosh, I don't know if there are banks like that or not in real life, but I imagine there probably is, because it's got to be like a safety feature, but I just don't see them around where I live. Excuse me. So yeah, I just add in a few gold bars, which I thought was really fun, a little weight scale. I put in some little, like, what are those called? Briefcases with money in it. I put a little coffee area back here for the tellers to have just a quick break when they need it. And then I used that stolen ATM machine, which is like tied up, and put it back here. And I just kind of imagine that maybe it's like broken and they had to wheel it in the back so the maintenance guy can fix it or something. I added these little parking meters in to kind of like stand as ATMs. I know they're not ATMs, but they're kind of the closest thing that I feel we have to ATMs that are not tied up. So it works. I think it works. And then I absolutely love all of the different pictures that we got with university. They look so like official. So I put some official photos in there. And then of course these frame checks that came with Get Famous, which is like perfect to hang up in a bank. So yeah, and then I just decorate it full of different Halloween. Oh my gosh, I am a mess today. Christmas decorations. And yeah, there's actually an apartment above this lot, and there is a way to get into the apartment. Again, I don't know that you would necessarily want to live on this lot, but if you do, you do have a couple options. You have that apartment. There's a blank space above the toy area or the toy store that I already mentioned. And then of course the two houses. So there's plenty of room for your sim in this lot if that's what you decide to go with. So the outside, the exterior of this building, I have to admit, I did not spend as much time on the interior of the buildings as I did the exterior, because my whole kind of goal for this was for it to look nice on the outside. I wanted it to capture that Christmas feeling and that Christmas spirit and like the downtown city kind of vibes. And so I did do the insides. You know, they're nice. It's nice on the inside. It's just I didn't spend as much focus time on the insides as I did the outside, because again, to me, this lot's mostly about looks and of course like visiting in the wintertime. So I have to say the apartment's just kind of put together. It looks nice, it works, and that's pretty much it. It is I can't remember what they're called, a studio. It's a studio apartment. It doesn't have a bedroom. It's just a whole single open area other than the bathroom, but everything else is open. So there's a single bed, not a single bed, there's a double bed in there, and then just a small living room and kitchen type area. And I thought it was pretty cute, and I do think this would be something that'd be really neat, is if you did decide to live on this lot, you could have like roommates and you could just set the doors, you know, so each person has their own little area to go into. And I thought that would be kind of a pretty cool idea, because then you have like neighbors around you instead of necessarily having housemates. You have neighbors, I guess, quote unquote, because they don't really live in the same house as you, so they're not really roommates, you know. So I thought that would be a cute idea, and actually that gave me some ideas on some other things that I want to build for my game, for my save file. So yeah, I don't know. I just think the whole concept of having roommates is fantastic. And yeah, so this little apartment is coming together. Like I said, I didn't go all out on this apartment. I did put a few Christmas decorations in here. I did add maybe just a little bit of clutter, but for the most part, this is it. Like, this is how it comes together. I put a little table in there, and I just kind of put some tile in there. I wanted it to look like it was maybe an older kind of apartment and not necessarily like super new or super modern. It's kind of traditional, and I would say that it's been there for a while. I kind of imagine these shops have been in this town for a while. I was really trying to capture the old vibe, and I just wasn't getting it. In the first build in the 64 by 64 lot, I actually ended up making like Italian style homes. I can't remember like what that style is. I'm not necessarily the greatest at knowing like different types of architecture and houses, but I started making all my buildings look kind of like that, and they turned out so good. I'll actually insert a picture of them so you guys can kind of see what I was working on. And yeah, it turned out like it was just way too much. I just didn't want to take all the time and effort that it was going to take to put into that. Because I feel like the quality would have like lessened had I done that. So yeah. But anyways, I'll insert a picture of that so you guys can kind of see what I was working on. But I was really going for that old feeling, like, you know, like the 1890s type feeling with the horse and the buggies. And yeah, so that was kind of the whole vibe that I really wanted to get at. I don't feel like I accomplished that kind of style, I guess, but I feel like these are buildings that could have been built back then. So anyways, moving on, I had to cut a lot out of this build because I didn't want to make it a two-parter, simply because I feel like it was a Christmas build, and most of you probably wouldn't come back for the second part, or if you did, you would come back just for the second part and not watch the first part because you'd want to see how it all ended. Yeah, and like I said, it's a Christmas build. If it was a mansion that I was doing or something, you know, a little bit larger, I would have made it into a two-parter. But again, you just kind of have to like weigh your options. Like, it's a Christmas build, so, you know, not that it's like a bad thing. That's not what I'm saying. It's just, I don't know. You probably get what I'm saying. So I actually skip over most of the toy store. You'll see me kind of get into the toy store here in a minute, but for the most part, I don't show a lot of the toy store. I also bounce back a lot between winter and summer just because I needed to see in the winter time. I wasn't able to see some of the like more landscaping because of the snow, so I had to bounce back and forth. But I love to make in the toy store in the snow. I create this little window area and I love it. Oh my gosh, I'm so in love with how it turned out. I put this little Christmas tree with a little train around it, and I end up putting it, like, I end up elevating it on one of those fountains I actually just sized up from, that's like a fountain decoration. Excuse me. And I just sized it up and raised everything up, and I kind of just imagine like kids' handprints and face prints on the window outside as they like stare inside this cute little just like store with all of these little toys. I also imagine this is probably like a privately owned toy store. And I imagine like some older guy, you know, he owns it and he just loves to make, you know, kids happy, and he loves to like tinker and make toys and stuff like that. So I create this cute little display case. I think it turned out great. I decided to cut a lot of the stuff out from the rest of the toy store because it's mostly just monotonous, me placing the same thing on shelves over and over again, which I'll put screenshots in so you guys will get to see what the finished product looks like. And of course, you can download this on the Sims 4 gallery under my ID, Mindii1990, Mindii 1990 on the gallery. So yeah, you guys can check it out there. So moving on to the cafe, I wanted something small but cozy and simple, and so I went with pretty like warm tones. And yeah, I love this. It's under the linoleum section, but it reminds me of tile. It almost looks exactly like the tile that I have in my kitchen. So I don't know, I just really like it. I think it turned out really neat. And then you see that I stuck like a little roof area. I kind of imagine that's just like an extra sitting area. And I end up sticking some seats and what else do I put out there? Some seats and like a little table and a couple plants out there, because in the summertime it would look so pretty with just having the whole like glass area. That's another idea that I've gotten from other simmers. I've seen other people do where they put kind of like little rooms inside of the roofs, and I don't know, it always just looks really good to me. It always looks really fun. So yeah, here I am doing that, and I think I end up cutting some of that out too. So yeah, yep, I do. All right, so moving on to the deli. Like I said, I was kind of going for like maybe like a Subway type thing or like a Chipotle thing where you just get in line, you pick your, I was thinking more like a deli. So like a Subway, you get in line, you pick what kind of sandwich you want, or you get to add like whatever meats you want and whatever like vegetables and those kinds of things. And it was just like a little like space that you could get together and maybe like meet a friend for lunch or something like that. That's the whole vibe I was going for, and it works pretty well. I actually was able to hire a vendor to come out, and they stayed for a while, and you can actually change the menu, which I thought was pretty cool. I didn't know that you could do that until I actually built one. So that was really nice. I just thought it was a kind of like a fun feature. So if you do have Sims that, you know, like are on this lot, you can change what type of food you want to give them. So yeah, and then I just add little condiments on the table. I place a few pictures around, kind of give this a little bit of a Christmas feeling. And yeah, I don't know, I think this probably has the most, this and the bank is what feels more like older and traditional to me than the other buildings, because I feel like the other buildings are kind of, I mean, they look like they've probably been renovated throughout the years, but for the most part, I feel like these are the buildings that have been here for a while. I put a couple benches outside. Like I said, I really wanted to take my time on the outside and the landscaping of this, because I wanted you to be able to look at this building and just feel Christmas or feel like you're in a snow globe. That was my whole goal with everything. I love these colored lights. I use them so much in this because you have to have, I mean, like you can add like other lights in live mode, but I don't know. I just like being able to add my own lights, and I kind of wish that that was a feature that we could do, is like we could add like our own lights. I mean, so like if you look at it right now, I actually had a sim go in and change the decorations. So when I put on a roof, the lights automatically pop up, but sometimes it's just nice to add like your own flair. So I do wish that was something that we had access to, that we could change. So unless we do have it and I'm missing something, but I wish that we did have it. So on to the next house that I put on this lot. This is a Victorian home. It's got 2 bedrooms, and I believe it's for a toddler. No, I don't think that's right. Maybe it is. I don't remember. I know it's made, there's definitely child vibes, okay? Is it a toddler? Why can't I remember? Oh my gosh. Excuse me. But again, this is another option that your sim can choose to live in if you choose to make this a residential lot. And it's just like really fun. Like I think that it'd be really fun if you had like a family that just enjoyed Christmas, or maybe you could play out a story where, I think there's like a show on like the Hallmark Channel or something where they get caught in a snow globe. If you guys know what I'm talking about, let me know if you know the name of that movie. But that she's like caught in a snow globe, and of course she finds true love and all those other things. Yeah, blah 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 blah. But anyways, if you guys know the name of that video, let me know, because I can't remember it. But anyways, that's kind of what I feel. I feel like you could definitely play off on that. Like you could just pretend like, you know, like you could create a whole story out of it. Honestly, your Sims are caught in a snow globe. They don't know anybody in this village, and you could just like load the houses full of people, I guess, have them all be roommates, live in the small little apartment up above. There's so many different ideas you can do. Like you guys can make a whole Hallmark channel out of it. I don't know. But yeah, so decorating this house, I think I skipped the whole upstairs, but I leave the downstairs. Again, I just wanted it to be really Christmassy, but I didn't go all out. I didn't want to spend the majority of my time doing the interiors of the builds, as I wanted to really focus on the outside. So in the entranceway here, I put this little Christmas tree and I size it down once, and then I add kind of like some shelving and a coat rack area, a coat shelf, I guess, where you would hang your coats. And then I just decorate this little, what is that called? That little shelf. I love putting those in entranceway. Also, I love using those little, I don't know what you would call them, like banners, maybe? Not banners. I don't know. I love using those. It looks so pretty, and it just like pulls everything together and makes it look really nice. So I put all of those in all the entranceways, and then I used a lot of really warm colors in this build as well. So I don't know if you saw, but the entranceway is kind of like a dark red, and then moving on to the kitchen, I think I make it green. I can't remember, but I did do a lot of really warm tones, like the dining room is green, and I imagine this is the house that like you would have if you're Sim. Like, these people love Christmas all year round. Like, they are those people that love Christmas all year round. And so if that is the kind of Sim that you have, this place is like perfect for them, because wait until you see the dining room. It is decorated so crazy. You guys are gonna like be like, oh my gosh. Also, I don't know if you guys saw it, but I did decorate last year. I renovated the Pancakes house and it looks so nice, and I decorated it for Christmas, and it's just this like colonial style. I don't even know if it's like colonial Victorian style kind of house, and it turned out so pretty. And I tweeted yesterday the link to that. I will put a card up here so you guys can check that out. But yeah, I had completely forgotten about it, and then all of a sudden while I was doing this kitchen, I was like, oh my gosh, I renovated the Pancakes house. And Bob and Eliza are living large, you guys, and it's so pretty. I made it just so Christmassy, and I remember doing it, and it's like all this like white and gold and lights, and yeah, I'm absolutely in love with it. You guys gotta check it out if you haven't. Like I said, I put some photos, some screenshots of it on Twitter yesterday. But definitely be sure to check the tour that I do on it, because I'm in love with it. And again, you can find that on the gallery as well. So we are getting pretty close to the end of this video, you guys. I hope you have enjoyed it. I have talked quite a lot, just rambling mostly about my life. Because that's what I do, this type of person I am. So I just basically finish up here, and then I go through the town and add a few extra things in. I was kind of having that moment where I felt like there was more that I needed to add, but I couldn't think of what I wanted to add. And so I was kind of like back and forth, and I don't know, but I think it turns out really well in the end. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoy it. Again, you can download this on the Sims 4 gallery, Mindii1990. Be sure to follow me on Twitter. I keep everybody pretty updated over there, so you guys can stay updated with my channel and my life. And then, yeah, be sure to follow me on Twitch. I don't stream a lot, but I'm hoping to stream a lot more, so check me out over there. Of course, you can follow me on Tumblr. I will be posting my CC links on there soon, so yeah, stay tuned with all of that. And with everything else, I hope you guys have a Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy Kwanzaa, whatever in the world you celebrate. I hope you have a happy and merry and joyful and blessed one. So I will see you guys all later. Bye.